did you see Ashikai's YouTube community post? No, I've heard through the grapevine on Twitter that people are hardcore going after Ashikai for some weird reason. Let me see, dude. Let me see. So Ashikai said, no live stream today, but maybe later this week, as I have a deadline and a packed schedule to get through. I'm also in a foul doomer mood with these not Krai decisions. I don't want my negativity to shape everyone else's opinion, so I'm gonna take a bit to chill before I try to talk about things. Never thought a lore addict can crash out as well. Bro, we all got crash outs built up inside us that it's just the time to crash out is inevitable. This is apparently a lot of different lore YouTubers, different perspectives on the Nod Krai stuff. Oh my god, it's me. I'm considered a lore YouTuber among these people. I don't feel like I should be, to be honest. I'm really surprised you have a problem with them fixing a lot of the problems with the way that they do storytelling. I actually think a lot of what they said in the live stream is taking the right lessons from feedback. Not everything is going to be perfect, but I actually think it's a good decision. That's my kind of outlook on it, to be honest. I feel like we've been asking for the past few years that the lore be told more in the main story and not just shoehorned into limited time events and world quests, and like people want the lore to be told in the All Conquest style of way, with voice acting, with cutscenes, with everything else, right? Ashikai's reply to that though, haha, fixing, right, great track record they had for that. Okay, I get that. I understand the skepticism behind fixing, but the problem Ashikai put originally here at the bottom isn't the fact that she doesn't believe they'll fix it. It's that these fixes that they're proposing are the wrong lessons from feedback, which I think is not necessarily correct. It's an opinion at the end of the day, and she's totally entitled to that opinion, 100%. But I do feel like the vast majority of people have been asking for this. This is their own damn fault. They had years to fix it and didn't. This may not feel like a problem to most, I get it, but realizing you didn't explain everything because your storytelling style is explore and tie loose threads together like a real archaeologist, and then deciding what if we make it a Marvel movie instead is not a great idea. There is a sort of magic that comes from story worlds that come explicitly from shit you don't say or explain. I 100% agree with this. Literally 100% agree with this, but a lot of the lore that is told in these ways that aren't said or explained really fucking should be said and explained, I feel like. Stuff that happened in the past is one thing, but like stuff that is heavily tied into the main plot of the story and ends up coming up later, again, limited time events, bringing up the full sky and shit and then getting removed from the game. That should never have been a thing to begin with. Before Sun and Moon, giving so much important detail on lore like throughout the years is a phenomenal way to do that. But then we have so many other things that are talking about stuff that's like going to happen, and you've got to read artifact sets to get like a heads up on the lore, and then the summer events foreshadowing the whole All Conquest and stuff. It's like there's so many different ways for lore to be told. When did they say they'll stop writing books? They didn't. That's what I'm kind of confused about. They're not making it a Marvel movie. Instead, I feel like they're making it a Marvel movie as well, right? Until we see it. And again, I get the fixing it right, like maybe she's feeling doomer about it, which is totally understandable, and that's fine, that's fair. Crash out, maybe she's crashing out, but that's okay, dude. People are entitled to crash out. If they'd have gone the whole FromSoft route of just like Ashikai says, like or was it Ashikai that said the FromSoft route, or was it someone in chat? Maybe someone in chat. If they'd have just gone all in on that and made it so that all of the important lore you had to discover and find yourself and go out of your way to do it, and then put 2 and 2 together to come up with 7 and then figure it out from there, that's one thing. But they didn't do that. It's not like they're totally betraying what they've been doing. Bro, some of the lore's been in the main quest, some's been in limited time events, some's been in world quests, some's been in books that you have to go and find, some's been in secret areas, some's been in... Do you see what I'm saying? It's been so scattered for so long that it feels like they're actually condensing it down into one main way of telling the lore, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's a good thing. I'm not trying to take away from Ashikai's thoughts here. I think they're very, very valid. But to give you a different perspective, that's why I'm really excited for it. That people are overreacted, she's just voicing her opinion. Yeah, she's just a person with an opinion, man. Like, it's not that deep. Gacha Gamer wasn't happy about it. Does Gacha Gamer play for the lore? What aren't people happy about? I'm very confused. Okay, we'll watch this video, I guess, because I don't know, man. I'm curious now. For the people that don't play for the lore, I don't understand what their unhappy about for these things. Let me see.
Genshin stream finally confirmed what some were starting to suspect. Snezhnaya will not be the next region, and instead, it's going to be Krai. And I'm not sure about you, but this feels a bit weird or a little different, I guess. And in this video, I want to talk about and review everything that was shared on this stream, because there are some crucial details the developers have revealed that are absolutely worth it.
They're more dissatisfied that we're not going to Snezhnaya. But the people that don't play for the lore and story are upset that we're not going to the next nation, but we're still getting a new nation. Why would it matter where? Or is it like specifically for the characters, maybe for like the Archon? I don't know. I mean, it's a fair thing. I'm fucking confused by it. Why there'd be so much dissatisfaction with not going to a specific place if people don't care about that specific place. Or maybe I'm just looking at it from a wrong perspective. That's entirely possible as well.
Investigating. But first, this video is sponsored by none other than the legendary Summoner's War. That's right, the granddaddy of that was revealed on the stream, and then I'll share my thoughts about the stream because I do feel like I need to address this whole situation. Right, so the most important thing to understand is that after version 5.8, this gift code confirmed on September 10th, 2025, Krai will be the next major region.
They think this is a filler version? Yeah, because they don't play for the fucking lore. This is the opposite of a filler version for literally the majority of the player base that play for the story. People who think this is a filler version did not listen to anything that was fucking said in that live stream. I'm sorry. Fucking nothing. Or they're just drama beating. I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about that. That is filler, by definition, that is fucking insanity.
Or storyline,
Jesus
I guess.
Christ.
And it will last for about 1 year before moving on to the next major region, presumably Snezhnaya. Now, the reason why I don't want to call Krai the next
presumably, yeah, you do kind of have to say presumably now.
Region would be the fact that the devs clearly explained that they're trying to break from the pattern with this major update, and will try to tie up all loose ends in the story. What that really means is unclear as of now, but some speculate this maybe implies adding remainder of the new areas to existing regions, like Blackcliff Forge, that's existed as a point of interest in the game for years now. But yeah, the devs are
that'd also be cool.
Basically calling Krai a place where all elements converge, because every region so far was about one particular element and its Archon, and since Snezhnaya is the only region left, it kind of makes sense to create a central area of all elements. Although,
well, I mean, in terms of like overworld Teyvat, sure, but we also still have Kamriar and possibly Celestia, but we don't really know about that.
Honestly, I was expecting Kandria to be the place, but whatever. Oh, and keep in mind, I don't have the best lore and knowledge of the game, so if I make any mistakes here, please let me know in the comments. Okay, so what's Krai all about? Well, I think the most exciting part about it is that the Traveler will be meeting up with Grandmaster Varka, and from what I understand,
that is one very exciting part about it, yeah.
And he will be the central character of this place. In fact, the devs confirmed Varka will make an appearance in 5.6 update, although they probably...
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's going to be the central character of the place, but he is going to be the Toma of that region, the first person that you introduced to for Krai, and that like leads you to the next place. Basically.
Meant we will hear his voice that was already revealed during the 5.6 live stream. Also, it's important to note there will be several Harbingers who will be active here as well. But regardless, besides Varka, this upcoming major version will also focus on the primordial power of the moon, since Teyvat had 3 moons in the beginning, and this major version will explore the mythos of it. Also, I'm sorry if I'm not showing the relevant footage here, but the stream was basically 95% of just the developers talking, and the rest of it were small snippets of what's to come. Literally no promo animation, just a few screenshots and short clips.
Well, we could probably get the promo animation at the normal time, right? This is just an extra thing. Again, we've only had this kind of dev discussion behind the scenes one time, and it's when they were adding Dendro to Sumeru. But obviously, we already had the teaser then from the previous live stream. We're probably just going to get the normal teaser stuff in the 5.7 or 5.8 version special program, like usual.
Clips. Anyway, going back to Krai, so far 5 factions have been revealed there. One of which is Fatui, that we all know and love, but then the other 4 are as follows. Voynich Guild, however you pronounce that. This is, I believe, a faction of merchants in the more seedy areas of the city. Then there's Lightkeepers, who are like the military faction and patrol the areas to keep them secure. Then there's the Wild Hunt, who are, I think, some kind of hunters, and I believe we can even see one of the NPCs here. And then finally there's military faction and patrol the areas to keep them secure. Then there's the Wild Hunt, who are, I think, some kind of hunters, and I believe we can even see one of the NPCs here. And then finally there's Frostmoon Scions, a group of druids who worship the moon. Now, interestingly enough, this time around, the devs won't be putting too much focus on capturing the archetype of a certain country for Krai, although they did hint at
which I'm really fucking excited about.
And it might have some features present in Baltic Seas countries. And as someone who's from Lithuania, I hope that means they will add a kebab kiosk in this new city. But anyway, they also said the new zone might have some design elements similar to World of Warcraft's zone, like Howling Fjords. So I think this might mean this place will look more like Nordic or Vikings themed. Overall,
can't fucking wait for that shit, dude. It's gonna be so fucking cool.
Besides few other lore details and changes to the game they've shared, like the fact characters will start appearing in the world while you're exploring the next major version, for the most part, it's clear they're going to be focusing on...
Well, they didn't confirm that. They weirdly spoke around that. I think they're probably just gonna keep doing the Chronicles. I'm not fucking crazy. They did not confirm that there's just gonna be random-ass playable characters roaming around the world constantly all the time. I'm pretty certain.
There's a few other lore details and changes to the game they've shared, like the fact characters will start appearing in the world while you're exploring the next major version, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think they did confirm that. They said they want to do it. Yeah, but this is like saying they confirmed that it's going to be in the next major version. Like, I don't know. Like, this is where I do take what Hoyoverse say with a grain of salt. They did imply that they want characters to appear in the world, but I'm not going to sit here and say they confirmed it's going to happen, because I don't have that much like promise that it's gonna happen.
It's clear they're going to be focusing on Krai for a whole year, but that also means potentially setting aside the main storyline. So let's talk about the possible consequences now. So, about an hour passed since the stream as I'm writing this, but overall, my initial reaction to this announcement is slight disappointment. I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying attention to the clues in the game or something, but a few hours ago, I legit thought Snezhnaya is coming after Natlan wraps up this year. They even announced Krai stuff as early as 5.3 stream, and I thought this autonomous city will be coming out as one of the 5.x version updates. Guess I was wrong.
Me too, at first, in all fairness, I did.
Wrong. And look, when I talked to someone close who also...
I actually said as well at the time, I don't know if you all remember this, but I said when people were like, what if Krai is going to be like all of 6.x? Maybe there was leaks about it, dude, because people were saying that since all the way back in fucking 5.3. I said I'd be severely disappointed. I did. That was before we got any of the teasers, any of the web event stuff, any information at all about what Krai was actually going to be. Dude, the second we started getting all that shit, fucking insane, dude. Like, I'm so excited for it.
Also plays Genshin. They told me my reaction was natural. So far, the game has been extremely formulaic. Every new major update is a new region. You visit it, help the Archon, save the nation, and move on to the next region. And I probably got used to it to the point where I relied too much on this formula, sort of like comfort food.
That's fair.
And I guess that's why I got this feeling of disappointment. Now, I understand why developers feel the need to have Krai expansion. Like, one of the first things they admit is that they felt they had rushed the game and its pace was too fast. And those who are following the various side plotlines of the game will probably agree with that conclusion. So the devs decided to create Krai to tie up all loose ends.
The problem is it's not people that were following the side plot lines. That's the problem, and that's exactly why they're fixing this and doing this, by the way, just as a heads up. Because people are acting like the moon shit is a side plot. And everything that's going... The Fatui are trying to steal the fucking moon. For fuck's sake, that is not a side plot, but people think it is because it's only really been talked about in fucking books. Like, that is what is insane. That is why we are doing this stuff. That is why they're trying to tell it like this, because people see these side plots as... People see these main story points that have been in since 1.0 as side quests, and that's just not the case.
Loose ends, as they said it so themselves. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not excited for this city/region, whatever you call it. It's just that I had in my mind completely different expectations. Although at the end,
which is very understandable and very fair.
End of the day, as long as the devs keep introducing new and captivating characters, that's what makes the game.
Bro, y'all made it sound like bro was like insanely fucking sad and really annoyed and doesn't follow the lore at all. Like, this seems very reasonable, like a very reasonable take.
I remember reading that Genshin comic in the early days, and Varka was already name dropped there. And now 5 years later, the dude is finally going to show up, and at least I personally feel quite excited about him. And with the amount of lore surrounding him, I'm sure his character design will be badass, unless they give him Ito's arms. But Varessa is the latest.
I still hope they make him a chibi.
Proving character design that the devs can create more than just 3 usual small, medium, and tall models. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Snezhnaya getting pushed back for more than 1 year. It sucks.
Just take it or leave it.
Fun fact, but Lenny teased the Fatui stealing the moon in his teaser.
100%. Thank you for the 100 biddy, Saucemith. Yeah, I did notice that as well last time we watched it, to be honest. Same with Lynette's, I think. I think Lynette also had something to do with the moon. And Tartaglia. I think all the Fatui so far that have had, like, stuff. I've always had stuff with the moon in.
Tall models. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Snezhnaya getting pushed back for more than 1 year. It sucks, what can I say? But at the same time, I was kind of wondering what kind of plan does Hoyo have once the main story wraps up. This is a multi-billion-dollar live service video game, and you can't just end it and then say, hey, go play Genshin Impact 2 now. Since the sad nature of gacha games, or like live service games, is that a lot of people spend money on it, and wouldn't want to abandon the first game. Honestly, the money's like even...
So we've gone through this a couple of times in chat, and if this gets uploaded to YouTube, I am very curious about what you all think about this as well. I really do think they will just make Genshin Impact into a long-standing series, kind of like what Destiny did, where they make Destiny into Destiny 2. And kind of like what they did with Honkai Impact 3rd. They now have Honkai Impact 3rd Part 2, but it's just an addition to Honkai Impact 3rd. We are in the Teyvat chapter right now, hence Genshin Impact Teyvat chapter storyline preview. We got the whole preview of the whole story for this chapter of the game. And I do think we'll get to keep all the characters. I think it's semi going to be kind of like what we do in Star Rail, right? Where every time we conquer a planet or save a planet, we move on to the next one. But that's every patch cycle, basically. I feel like Genshin Impact 2 is going to be us leaving Teyvat to go somewhere else, but with at least with the playable characters on the arc, because Teyvat's an arc, right? Maybe we'll go on to the next world with the characters on the arc. And we'll start a new journey there. I do think that's very, very likely what's going to end up happening.
Even whatever. It's the thousands of hours you sank into something, and then a completely new thing shows up and you're asked to move over there. I do feel like Genshin will just simply either reboot the story or introduce some kind of part 2 story after concluding the current one. And the reason why I'm talking about this, I honestly feel like that's why Snezhnaya is getting delayed. They are preparing for some kind of a transition and need more time before the final nation and then Kanayev wrap.
I disagree. I really don't think that's why Snezhnaya is getting delayed, because they're thinking about the next version of the game. I feel like it really is getting delayed, because if they went into Snezhnaya with the storyline that they have conjured up already now, people aren't going to be able to understand everything very easily. Like, I guarantee there's some moon stuff that they want to do in Snezhnaya that just would not make sense with the way the current lore stands. Guarantee it. And that's why they're doing this whole Krai thing about the moon. I can call it already.
Wrap up the story. Ultimately, it's too early to say if Krai is going to be filler or not, especially since it's planned to be active for 1 year. I know time flies fast, but even with new regions, there are these dry updates and are usually starting to show up around 0.4 or 0.5 of every version. And also, if Krai is staying for 1 year, what about the usual hype buildup for the nation's arc?
I will say, if Krai is staying for a whole year, which they did say, we better be getting a main quest every single patch. I swear to God, because that is the point of this. I think people can be rightfully upset if Krai does not have a main Archon quest or like a main plot quest every single patch. Because if they just do it up to like 0.4 and then 5, 6, 7, and 8, 4 patches, so 6 months is going to be filler stuff, like actual filler stuff, like limited time events and just quote-unquote fun stuff, it's a waste of half a patch, and they're just delaying at that point. That is just a delay. So it should be every single patch.
Archon. Who will be the big hype unit of this place? Varka? Maybe one of the Harbingers? It's hard to say, but again, they are breaking a 5-year pattern where
who are going to be the playables for Krai, dude? That's kind of crazy.
Used to.
Like the
so
big
at the same time, this sounds quite exciting to me. Maybe if they are trying to tie up all loose ends, that means there will be a lot more new activities and zones with each Krai update, instead of just sometimes adding banners and events as new content for the next version, something that we've seen happen many times by now. But yeah, I think the biggest question on my mind right now is how will Hoyo manage to keep Krai interesting for a whole year, because I feel like it's quite possible this whole major update will get written off as filler. I'm not saying it is filler, but my own knee-jerk reaction to hearing these news about Snezhnaya getting set aside for more than a year was confusion. Although there was one crucial thing one of the devs...
Confusion is fine, but filler's just fucking crazy, I'm sorry. But what if it is a filler? It's not. By definition, this is not filler. This is all about tying all of the main plot points in the fucking game together, in the main story. By definition, pretty much the opposite of filler.
Honestly, the only thing I have on my shelf is Green Lantern, and then I mostly read Marvel stuff. So I'm assuming by that they mean Krai potentially will contain a lot of important lore and stuff here, and we shouldn't treat it as a filler city/region. So I'm interested to find out what they mean by that. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, even though I'm reading from a script, but at the end of the day, I am initially disappointed with this news, but also quite excited to see what's to come in the future. Some would say this is fence sitting, and maybe they're right, but this is legit how I feel about everything so far. Let me know in the comments what your
I think it's okay to fence it if you're being honest about it, though. It's not really a problem.
Thoughts on this are, and I'd appreciate if you could press the like button on this video to help with the algorithm. Thanks, and see you at Escafe and IFA character videos.
Yeah. Like I say, I do understand the worry and stuff, but the one thing that I truly can't understand is people being disappointed with Snezhnaya not being 6.x. But everything else, dude, feels like such a non-issue. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for that.